Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. The topic of this episode is feedback or comment. Normally, in here we would have your most favorite host and co-host, which is myself, Mo, and Bo. But today, the most favorite co-host is Doug. Doug Whitehead.
Most favorite and best co-host. So thank you for having me, Mo.
Sure.
It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, good. So I used to tell Bo that he's the most favorite, but I was lying to him. It was you.
I know.
I'm glad you know already. But anyway, back to the topic. So, you want to actually, I forgot, maybe I just introduce yourself briefly.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit rude, but thank you. No, like Mo said, my name's Doug. I've been a friend of Mo for a bunch of years. So he's asked me to stand in for Bo and just get some participation in his podcast and kind of listen what he has to say and give my comments and possibly argue with him now and again. So looking forward to it.
Okay. This is not new to us. We have had some arm wrestling done before. So, but when it comes now back to the topic, which is again feedback or comment, normally there are a few things that they happen. It is feedback, comment, suggestion, or an order. Depending on the case scenarios. For example, sometimes really we, especially in a work environment, or sometimes even the family environment, that is it an order that you want me to do that? It's just and that's it. Or is a suggestion that you can choose my way, this way, or do your way, but just do it my way because my way is better?
Because your way is always correct and better and right.
You know, you're smart.
Okay.
You knew that.
I got it.
Or is it a comment or feedback? So we have to be clear on the position that we have.
Yeah.
I have run into that difficulties myself before, that I was confused that are you telling me what to do, or are you just feedback, a suggestion? Then I don't have to take it, really.
So, I mean, for me, it really depends on the content or the context as well as the situation. There's definitely a difference between, for example, a professional environment with feedback versus a friendly banter between friends feedback, and also how that's portrayed. You can do it in a fun way, you can do it in a rude way, and you can do it in a way that people would actually accept it and kind of take it to heart and implement that. So it depends on who you're talking to, what the situation is.
Actually, now I'm going to go a bit more into details. When it comes to feedback, they say feedback is what you're feeling about me.
Yep.
It's not about me. It's about your feelings. Comment is when I'll get to this thing.
Thanks for considering my feelings.
And basically, for example, if I do something, then you can't come back and say that, hey, Mo, you did that, when you did that, you made me feel this way. So a feedback genuinely cannot be wrong. It's just a feedback. It's what you feel.
Right.
Your feeling could be right, wrong, and not right, wrong, sorry. The feeling can be good, bad, or anything. And normally, so feedback cannot be wrong. Feedback is just what you're feeling about the situation.
Yep.
And normally that can vary based on the stories we tell ourselves. For example, if I come and say, hey, Doug, you, of course, maybe I should change the scenario to stay this way. For example, if I say something and then you come back and say that, hey, Mo, you said that, or you made me feel this way. Depending on the story that you tell yourself, that feeling can be different.
It's the personal interpretation of the feedback then. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say just interpretation. Now I have to bring up, oh my God, you're just making me work for my money. For example, let's say it has happened that, for example, I had a patient of mine that, I did something. Then he said, when you say that, because I was teaching her how to do some stuff, you make me feel stupid. I said, why? I'm not making you feel stupid. You're not supposed to know. You're not expected to know.
Yep.
It is my job. But the story that you tell to yourself, it just gives you the feeling that you are drawing. Or she could have thought about it this way. Hey, thank you for bringing this up.
Exactly.
And,
it's helping, not criticizing.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I was just doing my job. And no, it's not expected of you to know this stuff. That is why you're here. That is why I get paid. But the story that we tell ourselves, it will decide that if you make me feel stupid or if you are really helping me, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
So it's not just interpretation. I mean, it changes the interpretation. I don't want to fight with the words, whatever that it is, but basically the stories that we tell. But comment, back to that one. A comment is if you come and say that, hey, Mo, you did this, you're a bad physio because you put it that way. Well, it was your interpretation, your understanding of it. You're just making a comment.
So there's no really, with a comment, there's no real interaction. It's just a one-sided opinion that you convey to the other party.
Actually, it is an opinion, exactly.
Yeah.
But the question
but a
becomes...
one-sided opinion.
That's correct. It's just the other party.
Yeah.
The receiver is making an opinion of the
situation
of the giver the comment, giver of the advice or whatever, feedback or something. So the moral of the story is, and I think you remember I had this TV program I had created, that Curious Mind.
Yep.
That normally I would say, welcome to Curious Mind, where comments are not welcome, questions are, which I would encourage people to asking questions. And often when things go wrong, doesn't matter in friendship or any environment, work, life generally, that the comments that or feedbacks they go wrong, because really are not feedbacks or comments.
Yeah.
But again, it is a responsibility to both the giver and the receiver. And sometimes really genuinely somebody is giving a feedback. For example, I come and said, hey, Doug, you said that, you made me feel this, which actually you didn't. I felt that way.
Right.
It's my responsibility on how I feel.
Yeah. It's how you interpret it. And it's really how that's conveyed, how you receive it, but also in the situation of where you are and when that's being conveyed to you.
Correct. Some of those things, because now what is my intention behind this, feedback that I provided? Did I provide it with the intention to, criticize you? Or was it really in order to help you to improve? What was the intention that I had behind my, giving a feedback?
But again, feedback to me is really when and how you give it. If you give feedback to someone in a social environment and you can, it's almost like you embarrass them within that surrounding, that could be very awkward and difficult for the person. So if you then get into a position where you can provide some comment, but also be conscious of just what you think that other individual would feel, to not do it in a social environment, but maybe like this, on a one-on-one talk.
Yeah. On the mic.
On the mic. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to tell you
for everyone. Yes.
Give you some feedback.
It's just to be considerate to that.
Actually, this is another topic, because when by the way, this is a disclosure. When I started to I want to talk about this podcast. I thought that this will be a one episode, but I think, oh my God, I went and studied it. I realized, holy moly, it is a big thing, but it's a lots of value. To be honest, it makes life a lot better. And if you don't do it right, it makes it a lot worse for us.
I agree. I just think you also have a lot of comments to share, so that's okay.
And then, but one of the topics that said that, how and where, then it will be another topic that we will talk about, another, episode that we'll talk about how to give a feedback and how to receive it. How can we receive feedback and those things. But as a general rule, they say that a rule of 24 hours to 1 week. So you want to provide your feedback. If it is hot, just leave it for a day, for the situation, and then tell them. And then, but don't leave it for too long.
That's true. 24 hours for an instant reaction, kind of delay on that, I think it's very wise. But 1 week, I'm too lazy. I forget. And
so then you should say it, because don't leave it for more than a week.
Right.
That is another thing.
Yeah.
So just that is another thing. And often, very frequently it happens when, especially in a work environment, or it can happen anywhere, that if you provide a feedback for some people, they are bound to get offended, anything you say. So, and that one you can't help. So does it mean that you should not say it? I would say depending on the situation. If it's work, well, it has to be said. But if it is life, sometime...
Will that feedback make a difference?
A lot of time. This is a very good point that you're making here. A lot of time, maybe it doesn't make it for the first time. For example, if I come and tell you for the first time, you hear it for the first time, you may say, "Oh, screw that."
That's right.
I'm right.
And you forget. Yeah.
But after a second, third, fourth time,
So what?
It will happen that it will sink in.
Your persistency will eventually persuade.
Not just my persistency. One is that. But if you hear the same thing from different sources.
Correct, yeah.
In marketing, they say that you have to market something, say it 7 different times for it to sink in.
Right.
And it's better if there are 2 different paths. But if I don't tell you, the second person doesn't tell you, who's going to tell you?
Yep.
And of course, this is I should say, I have said this before too, Canadians are too polite to be honest. And that's not a good thing. And as you can see, Doug has an accent. Doug is a foreigner.
No, I don't have an accent. I think other people have accents.
True. This damn Canadian with their accent. But for example, and between us, actually, we have been a lot more open, into, saying this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just we've known each other for quite a bunch of years, and it must have been just a foreigner connection. So we just we get
and
along.
From
with,
the very
with
day
good.
one, I think we were just talking a lot of things that normally we wouldn't say that to normal people. And by that I mean normal people, I mean Canadian. But
comments, please comment.
But so I want to just wrap this up very quickly in this part of it to say, so when it comes feedback or comment, feedback is my feeling that I have of what you say, but how I'm going to feel is based on the stories that I tell myself. That, for example, do you make me feel stupid, or are you providing me with education? Right. Are you criticizing me, or are you helping me to grow? Even if your intentions is wrong, even if you come and say it in a bad way, if as a receiver I'm smart enough, I can switch it and say that, hey, are you trying to say this? And then, or you can say that I would have appreciated if you would put it in a different way, but I take the comment or I take the feedback. Thank you for that. Now I realize, for example, something that I didn't know. Yeah. Because often I say, I have brought up in another podcast that, how would you, do you make mistake? How do you, or how do you handle, no, I don't know what the name was, but it was a recent one that, do you make mistakes? And what would you do about it? That some people, they say, I do self-reflection, which I say self-reflection at the best is your own idea again.
It's just you mulling in your own mistake.
That is the thing.
You got to get some outside comment or outside feedback.
You must get that. You must get that. Often, very, very frequently among friends, I have noticed this. I did this, this happened. I think maybe I should do that. In regards, for example, to a relationship that they have had. Well, how do you know? Go ask the other party. You're just assuming. Yes. But I think I did this because of that, I hurt him or her. Well, no, you're just assuming that. Go talk to them, ask them, get feedback, ask for feedback.
Yes, agreed. No, 100%.
And just really make them feel comfortable to say whatever they want to say. And this is another thing I want to say, that if you want to provide a feedback, even if you cannot do it in the best way, for example, you're really trying, I would say it's better to say something than nothing. I really encourage people.
Bad feedback is better than no feedback.
First of all, as I said, feedback by definition, there is no bad or good. Anything, we are commenting, sometimes becomes comment. Feedback. But if it is on a performance, anything is better than nothing. Any spoken thing is better than nothing. And the reason is because even if, for example, you make mistakes in the way that you present yourself, if you don't present it, if you don't make the mistake, you don't know what to correct. True. Actually, I think Einstein has said that. It wasn't me or Einstein, I don't know who, but I get confused. He says, the only way that you don't make mistake, the people that they don't make any mistake are the ones that are doing nothing.
They don't do anything,
Yeah. Who was that? Was it me or Einstein?
No, I think it's right next to that humble discipline and humble self of you. So no, must have been you.
Somebody said that. Yeah. Okay, we'll just leave it there. So if I prefer, and I would recommend that provide feedback, even if it is done in a wrong way. If you want to provide feedback, you can say that, hey, I really am trying to put it in the nicest way. This is the best that I can do. And then the receiver should be really, again, take responsibility to make the situation better. Otherwise, if we don't allow each other to provide feedback, it becomes the room for talking behind each other's back.
Right. So I just had a thought. What about preempting that you want to give feedback on a specific topic and telling that person that because of that situation, I want to share something with you and I mean it in the best way or the worst way or whatever it is, to try and explain to them of your intentions through the feedback, kind of warming them up to what you're going to tell them.
You're right, but you're talking about the subject that we are going to be talking in 2 episodes from now. But we are going to actually, yes, you want to warm them up. You don't want to just jump in and say that, hey, this happened. You want to warm them up. It is normal in more situations. But often this is another funny thing. When we talk about feedback, we think of it as a negative thing. We think about that, as if you're going to say something bad. Although feedback are for 2 reasons, or to improve or to reinforce a behavior. So if you do something right, I have to come and tell you. That because normally because of that, personally I tell friends and our clients that tell us the highlights. Don't come and tell me, Mo, you're so good looking. I know that.
And modest.
Yes. I'm kidding. But, the things that we know. I mean, they are just average thing we know. I want to know the highlights. And the highlights I'm talking, they're very good and they're very bad.
Okay, I was about to say, so highlights, you mean you only want to hear the good? But no, you just clarify. So you want to hear the good and the bad because it's the feedback and that's the learning and the improvement.
And to be honest, sometimes we just simply don't know. I really don't realize it. How do you expect me? And sometimes I hear, read between the lines. Are you kidding me? I hate reading to begin with, and now I should read between the lines? It's
also not a talent of mine. Completely missed that.
It's actually a very terrible idea. I don't know who came up with the idea. Honestly, I would go and spank the guy. I mean, not a spank, but that's not what I quite whack them on the head.
Good. All right.
But seriously, are you kidding me? Read between the lines. Or there's another thing. Again, it's a Canadian thing that I have. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything. Are you serious? How do you want me to know my mistakes? And as an immigrant, I used to be, but but as an immigrant, to be honest, for example, there were lots of differences between the way that I did things versus the Canadian do.
Right.
And sometimes people, they would be very nice. They wouldn't tell me anything. For God's sake, tell me, I don't know. It comes across wrong very frequently.
It does, 100%. But it's also, knowing you that you wouldn't take it personally. Like feedback, to improve. You personally won't go, but that's mean, that's rude. Why'd you say that? But that's not. I shouldn't say that's not normal, but it's a lot of times where people would be offended. People would get angry.
This is where that is very true. Yeah. But it is again because of the stories we tell ourselves and the intentions.
Yes, and how you interpret it upon yourself. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of it goes back. Is about me, how I'm going to take it.
Right.
And more than how you present it. Because, for example, they say actually there are studies. They say that people that they seek feedback, but good and bad. Not that complimenting, fishing for compliment. Normally they are more satisfied with their life, with their job, and they are more open-minded, and that's very true. Otherwise, if you don't seek, then it won't work. And there was this lady. I watched her podcast. She was just freaking amazing. Honestly, God, I think I watched it like twice, but each episode I was just rewinding, going back to. And made a lot of notes. She was amazing. I will put that in the comments somewhere that I would encourage everybody to go and watch that. But anyway, I don't know what I wanted to say.
What was the podcast about?
About feedback. Or that was her job. She was just amazing. She put it in a very, very nice way. But again, the concept of the feedback thing, really we need it. We want to ask others to, provide us with some feedback. And it is our responsibility to, as I said, to even help them. If you're telling me something, to switch it, to say that, is that what you mean? Even if, for example, if you hurt my feeling, and she said, the feedback, it's an emotional thing. At one point we want to improve, and the other point we want to be accepted and, liked. And then sometimes these two clashes. But one very main reason, there should be no clash between these. The idea is, unfortunately, we we are living in a society that we want to be perfect. And if we make a mistake, oh my God, I'm just heartbroken. Did I make a mistake? Do I have a flaw? I did not know that. And that is why, especially the new generation, we tell our children, you're so perfect, you're so pretty, you're the smartest kid. I don't know any other smart kid. Are you kidding me? Just your kid is the smartest and the best and the prettiest. And you think you're boosting their confidence that way, huh? Good luck with that one.
There's a bit of a reality check at some point.
That is the thing. Yeah, and that is actually one of the very main reasons. I have studied this too, by the way. It's not just a personal opinion per se. That when they come now to the real life, they see that's not the real life. You're not the prettiest. You're not the smartest. Your mama lied to you. And you're going to get kick in the butt. And then you're just surprised when they tell you made a mistake.
Right.
And then you fall on your face.
Yeah, that and rejection, and they just go in complete panic or that. Yeah.
That is, honestly, I'm assuming this is, I don't have it, but a good portion of the depression and anxiety that's happening is because of this thing, the new.
Right.
Because we want to be perfect in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Although we all make mistakes, we are supposed to. I mean, we are not supposed to, but we try our best. But if we make a mistake, that's normal.
Yeah.
And then the only way to know is sometimes is the people, they tell us.
Right.
And then when they tell us, you should say, hey, thank you, I'm going to improve on it. Or maybe not, you will just pick your battle. But at least you're aware of it, that I'm not the best in this and I'm cool with that.
And for me, I mean, there's been a lot of feedback and a lot of comment for me too, throughout professional career, personal, friends, family. If you continue to grow and if you continue to learn through that feedback, you just feel better.
Yes, that's
you just feel good because it's continuously growing yourself. It's continuously improving, and it's not just for yourself, but it's the people around you. So, if it's bad feedback or bad comments, I don't know, mull through it. You say 24 hours to 1 week. Work through that, and I don't know. Hopefully, you won't do it again. But
mistakes happen. We may repeat it again, but the fact is that you're more aware of it.
Yeah,
we make the mistake, but this time, oops, I screwed up again, and that's cool as long as you're aware of it and you're doing something about it to make it better.
Yeah.
Of course, the podcast is getting to become longer than I wanted it to be, so we are going to leave it for the next episode. But now I'm going to leave you with this. First of all, life is simple. We make it complicated. As you always know, this is how we make it complicated when the stories we tell in this sense.
Dilute it and make up our own assumptions. Yeah.
That it can be a lot simpler than that. We can just simply ask questions and just that's it. And the question that I have for you, when you make a comment, this is for the public. You don't have to answer it. Podcast is done for the audience.
But what if I want to?
So the question is this: first of all, how do you take feedbacks? And is it a feedback? Is it a comment? Is it a suggestion or is it an order that boss gives you? So we have to make sure that, if it is a feedback, is it a feedback through work, that your performance versus a standardized things, or is it feedback in normal life, that the standardization really is not as much. There is a lot more loose. You can live a different life. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful, but we will continue with the same topic for the next episode. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.